I'm going to run you through my H12 setup pretty much from top to bottom. The H12 is a 12-foot kayak and it weighs about 67 pounds. So it's fairly heavy. You have to figure out a way to get it up on top of your car if you don't have a truck. I'm going to go through that with you, show you how I built up my loader, my fishing setup for the H12, and a few other things. So I carry 2 kayaks on my car. And I didn't want to stand them up at 45 degrees. I thought that was awkward. So I built these 2 additional supports. There's one in the front and one in the back. And they lock in right here to the Outback. So these are very secure. I have a nut going up through the wood with a washer, and those are recessed. And then I have some foam here on top to help the kayak. These, which there's 4 of them, there are 2 on each side. This is how those hooks are used. I use a carabiner here. I just run a cord up, a rope. I run a rope up to the front and I tie it off here. That keeps the kayak from going forward. Then I have one in the back, which does the same thing. This is hooked onto that little hook again. The cord runs straight across here and it ties into the back. That keeps the kayak from going backwards. Of course, I use the orange straps here to secure it down from lifting. So this was the first thing I had to do, is figure out how am I going to fit 2 kayaks laying down on top of my car. And you can see that these don't protrude any farther than the car, and there's not been any problem. So this is my kayak loader. This velcros in 3 places to the bottom of the bumper, letting the bumper take all the weight of the kayak. I have a little carabiner clip and an S-hook. This just hooks in right up on top like that on each side. That's the S-hook. And then this opens up this way. There's Velcro on the bottom. I just position this like this. There's Velcro down here, 1 in the center, 2 on the ends. This rotates down, sits right underneath the light. And then these clips will hook in to an eyelet right here. Hooks in just like that on this side. And now this is very secure. These roll, so when I put my kayak here and stand it up, I lean it up here, I push it up, it goes right up to the top of the braces I have on top, and it works great. I typically leave this attached to my car when I'm with the kayaks. You can pull it off easily, as you saw, to open and close the trunk, but that's how the kayak loader works. There's also a recent addition I made. I put a T here. I used to have this be a right angle. The T allows me to drop this in place and this in place. And now the kayak can't fall right or left. Once it's on there, these help guide it and stay on the frame. So this is very important, I think. This has worked out terrific. When I had the right angles, there was always a potentially drifting right or left as I was pushing it up onto the car. But with these, I just pull them out when I don't use them. I put them in like that when I use them, and it keeps the kayak between the width of these rollers. I'll just show you quickly. I store the ropes through these little eyelets. I just wrap it around a few times, and then it keeps those where they need to be. I never lose them, not without them. So when I put this away, I just keep that like that. I'm going to walk you through my Ascent H12 setup. There's a whole bunch of them out there. This is another way to do things. I've been fishing with a setup like this for a number of years now, and it's worked out well for me. So from front to back, I'll show you the modifications. Most of them are going to be in the fishing area, but I did do some seat mods. So this is my A-frame, what I'll call an A-frame. It's made out of 3/4 inch PVC pipe. It holds my fishing pole. The fishing pole rotates right and left 45 degrees like this, so I can fish off of either side of the boat. That works out real well. So we'll start from the front. The sonar unit has the head attached. This rotates down 90 degrees like this into the water. You want to make sure that this is parallel, the sonar head, with the water and sits in the water. Inside here, I've cut a 90-degree notch, which sits like this. This keeps this from coming out as I rotate it, as well as keeps it at 90 degrees here. And when I go up here, it keeps it in this position like that. So I put this on like this and just tighten down this thumb screw, and it goes into that notch. And again, keeps it from coming out this way as I rotate it, and it keeps it at 90 degrees or up this way. On the head, you see I've actually flattened out the PVC pipe to attach the head, and I just heated this up with a torch, put it in a vise, clamped it down. It'll stay just like that, and now you have a nice flat surface to attach your head to. And then I just cut this PVC pipe out and made it round and glued it here on this side. Don't need to do that. First time I've tried that, but seems to be okay. If you have a fish finder, you're going to have a bunch of extra wire. So I have my wire here coming up through a grommet, sitting here, comes up here through a grommet, and then it goes underneath the inside of the H12. And I'll show you that right here. There it is right there. This is 1-inch PVC pipe. It velcros on the inside. I have Velcro on one side. You want to keep the cable rounded. You don't want to kink it or you'll get reflections on your fish finder. But this holds all the extra cable. And then I have two little marks on the side of the kayak where the Velcro is underneath, and I just stick that up underneath and put it like that. It's out of the way of my feet. It keeps all the extra cable contained and works well. Then it comes up here through some more grommets and into the fish finder. I do keep a clock on my little tray area, and I use the tray area a lot. I'll put some holes in here eventually to hang lures that I'm using, but this tray works out well. I'll keep salmon eggs or worms or lures or my sunglasses up there as I'm changing hooks. Again, 3/4 inch PVC. This is 1-inch PVC here that holds the pole. And again, this rotates right and left 45 degrees, so that works out real nice as I turn on the lake. I have some forceps here to pull out hooks. I keep suntan lotion. This is 1-inch PVC attached to the 3/4 inch PVC. I've tapped a 632 screw here, and I run a Allen head in here to tighten this up. And that's done on both sides. On the back here, I keep some sunglasses just hanging here in case I need to change. These batteries here power my fish finder. They're 7.4 volts, 1000 milliamps. They're put in series, which gives me 14.8 volts. The fish finder runs from, I believe it was 20 volts down to 12 volts. My fish finder takes 100 milliamps an hour, so this will power the fish finder for approximately 10 hours. Very clean setup here, easy to install. This pulls off with Velcro to recharge those, and I'm ready to go. Over on this side, I have a whistle and some fishing line cutters here. It's all tethered so it pulls off. I can cut the line, just let it go back like that. Works out nicely. Same with the whistle. On this part, I have 1/4 by 20 blind nuts that I actually mounted, drilled a hole in the H12, put in underneath. They stick up just a little tiny bit, so that this will snap in place before I screw these on. Again, these are the little thumb screws, so this is on and off very easily. But as you see, these come out, and this will go into the blind nut down below and just screws right in place. There's no hassle, there's no alignment issues, because the blind nuts again stick up a small amount over the top and snap into the hole where these screws go down. That works out real nicely. Moving backwards a little more, I've raised my seat up about 3 inches. I've created a stand for the bottom, and I'll show you that here. So here's my seat modification. I've put a 3-inch extension on the bottom. That's right here. This is 3 inches. Kind of wraps right here, goes around. There's 4 places it bolts into the frame, and it goes all the way through the frame. So there's 2 of them, this outside and inside, and one on the other side the same way. I put a little board, a 1-inch by probably a 1/2 inch board on the bottom. I've tapered this at an angle so it sits on the hull nicely. And then I put a little piece of sponge rubber down here. But this raises the seat up 3 inches, and I found that's working real well. Obviously you have to clip it into the back, and I've created this little addition which raises this up. Now the seat doesn't physically rest on this. This just holds it in place. There's no pressure being put on this. That's as the original seat was. These seat brackets here did not sit down all the way into the groove. They sat down about 3/4 of the way. So all the pressure was on the hull, not on here. And it's the same with this. This notch does not allow the seat to put pressure on this area, but this holds it in place from sliding right and left. So I've drilled through here, tapped it in here with some screws. Those are number 10 screws, and then I have a washer on the outside. And here's the other side here. You can see there's actually 2 layers, an outside and an inside. This part, the inside part, just sits right on this black. There's no real pressure on it, but it sits there just for extra support. And then the outside, as you can see, goes down below this. I've drilled straight through, and that works out nicely. So the seat just drops right in here, and it sits terrific. Raises me up 3 inches, which I found great. My next mod is going to be, I'm going to put a tray underneath here that slides out. This is the back of the seat, but on the front it will slide out this way, and I'll keep fishing tackle in that little tray. And that should work out nicely because I've got a lot of room here that I want to utilize. Right here, this is where I put my fishing stringer. When I catch fish, I'll just take it and wrap it around here a couple of times and let the fish sit in the water. But this works out nicely to a good quick place to keep the fish on the stringer. My fishing net in the fishing rod holder, I've never liked to use those because they're in back of me. I much prefer this being in front like this, so when I'm sitting here I can easily reach up and grab that. I can see when the fish bite easily, and it's easy for me to reach up and grab. I did put in 1 hook here for my net. I'll just hook my net there, and it's very easy for me to turn and grab that and use it to land the fish. This is my cooler. I have some Velcro down here. I keep my cooler just like this. It sits very nicely in here, but the Velcro was needed so it wouldn't tip. And then I can open it and close it. I keep ice in here, sandwiches, drinks, and certainly the fish I catch stay in there to keep cool on the way back to the car. This is the back part. This is how I store my cart for the kayak. The kayak weighs about 75 pounds. If you have to haul this any distance at all, you're going to want a cart. And there's some modifications I'm going to show you to the cart that make it real simple. Here's the cart with the wheels in place. And then you'll notice when I open the cart, I bolted 2 pieces of wood onto the front and back. This sits perfectly in the track of the H12 underneath the hull. It allows me to put it right in place. I don't have to fuss with it. It goes in about 5 seconds. You set it on the ground, pop it in place, and it's done. I put in 2 little eye hooks, one on each side. This is where I connect the straps. I just take the strap, click it in here, run it over the top, click it in this side, run it back over the top, and it's ready to go. I can hook typically 2 kayaks. This is the H12. This is my wife's right here. We'll put one on top of the other. I use 2 pieces of this noodle to protect one boat from the other. I run this through the front, and then I run one right here in the back. And then my wife's kayak sits right on top of those. The cooler fits inside of her kayak. Everything else is flat. But the wheels work really nicely now with this little wood addition that fits into the track. So here's the cart just sitting in place, ready to load the kayak on it. So here's a view from underneath how the wood sits in the slot of the H12. It goes in and out really easy. It's easy to load. I don't even have to use straps if I'm gonna only take it like 100 yards, or maybe not use 2 kayaks on top of each other for transportation. But that works out really nicely. The wheels are aligned to the front of the kayak. I measured both axles to the front so that it will track straight, and that works out nicely. I did put on a paddle holder. This is a 1-inch conduit. It's something to keep 1-inch conduit in place, but it's a very hard metal. I painted it black. You can see I've put this a little bit of distance here in the back because the hull is bowed. It won't go straight easily. So this drops in place very nicely. Just keeps that out of the way. And here's the front one here. Again, 1/4 20 thumb screw. I actually just tapped the plastic here on the H20. So I don't have any blind nut here. I've just tapped into this and I screw those in. It's important for me to get these off. I need to keep this area flat when I load the kayak onto my car, because this is what actually puts pressure on the bumper, and I roll this onto the car upside down, so I need to undo these. I don't want to keep them fastened all the time, as well as the A-frame here. Again, these 2 bolts just come out. To use the bag on the back of the seat, I keep a ham radio in there with a bunch of medical supplies just in case I need it, an ACE bandage, Neosporin, Band-Aids, that type of thing. So this is pretty much my setup. It's working out great. I hope this has given you some ideas on what I've done. We'll all learn from each other. Have a great day.